What's up guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about this DeWalt DCB1800 Power Station and this super awesome power station, so stay tuned. Hey guys, so this is the DeWalt DCB1800 Power Station and parallel charger. What this unit basically is it's a unit that can parallel charge 4 batteries, not fast charge, but parallel charge 4 batteries, and it can also use 4 batteries to output 110 volts AC, okay? It can output 1800 watts continuous and 3600 watts peak. So it takes 4 of these 20 volt batteries, and you put 4 of these in here, and it outputs a AC port here, turn on, and outputs 1800 watts continuous. So that's pretty good. Saved a lot of people in many times, in many situations. For instance, things like sump pumps and stuff during a power outage. Some people have tried to use this stuff tailgating, camping, glamping, whatever it is people do. But anyways, it's a pretty nice unit. It's very convenient to have, especially when you're doing things in remote areas that don't have power, or at least continuous power. So that's a pretty good unit. But there are 2 major problems with this unit, at least in my opinion. First major problem is it outputs a modified sine wave. We're going to touch back on that a little bit later. And it only takes DeWalt batteries. So what's wrong with that? A lot of people are not only on one battery platform. Some of you guys are die-hard fanboys or fangirls, and you guys may be on only one platform, but most people are not on only one battery platform. So number 2 problem. But anyways, going back to the first problem, because it does not output a pure sine wave, it outputs a modified sine wave, it can cause a lot of problems with sensitive electronics. What is a sine wave and why is it important? Glad you asked. So in the United States here, the AC power or the ground power or the mains power, whatever people call it around the world, it outputs roughly about 110 volts, 120 volts, certain areas, somewhere between 110 and 120 volts realistically, and 60 hertz in a sine wave. What's a sine wave? It's a pure sine wave that goes like this. I'll see if I can throw one up right here. Who knows? But anyways, that is what powers the mains power here. And it comes out of here. Okay, so it's AC power. AC is the alternating current for those who don't know that. But anyways, the big problem with this is that it outputs a modified sine wave. And why do a lot of inverters not output pure sine waves? Well, it actually costs a lot of money for all those transformers and things that go into the inverter to output a pure sine wave, and it's very costly, so it's kind of cost prohibitive. And a lot of things work fine on modified sine waves, so a lot of companies don't go that route. Plus, pure sine wave, depending on build quality, can or cannot be more fragile. Don't quote me on that because that is not 100% true. So anyways, the important thing here is this outputs a modified sine wave, and why is that a problem? Well, there are some things like, for instance, let's say computers, even if they have PFC power supplies and stuff like that, do not work very well if it's not a pure sine wave. And things like even refrigerators these days, the smart fridges with all the screens and buttons and stuff on it, those are actually smart fridges, and they have a lot of digital electronics in there. And if you're running on a digital platform or anything that's very sensitive electronic that uses digital or has a digital board or circuitry or whatever on there, it needs a pure sine wave in order for it to function correctly, properly. If you look around a lot of stuff on the internet or whatever it may be, you'll see a lot of stuff on the internet where people have burned up certain things like fridges, TVs, monitors, whatever it is, because they were using a modified sine wave. So when DeWalt designed this, I'm pretty sure they were probably not thinking about people using this on tailgating, so to say, or something that needs a pure sine wave. Let's see, a TV. Tailgating, TV, what do you know? Or let's say the power goes out and you want to watch TV, or your smart refrigerator with a big screen and stuff on it. Yes, people have burned out those refrigerators due to not using pure sine wave inverters. So and a lot of times you can use stuff and it'll work fine for a little bit. Eventually it may start smoking, or it may act fine, or it may look like it's working fine, but it's making a weird noise or a weird hum or whatever it is. That's because you're not using a pure sine wave inverter. Anyways, enough of this. 2 problems, right? Only use DeWalt batteries and modified sine wave. So we'll be right back. And we're back. So what we were talking about earlier, as I had to go be right back, one of the things that I actually figured that was causing a big problem with the modified sine wave was the networking stuff. So a lot of people have fairly large, a lot of nerdy people have a lot of fairly you don't really have to be nerdy, I'm gonna cut that out. So what were we talking about? As I went to go put down the power station, I actually remembered why we haven't started looking into this. So one of the reasons I started looking into that was I tried to use the power station during power outages, during storms or whatever, and found out that stuff was acting really strange. And one of those big items was, besides the TVs and what do you call those, home theater stations, stuff like that, was the networking stuff. So a lot of people have a few networking items. Some people may have more than others, but switches, routers, what do you call those things, those boxes with the hard drives in them, the NASs or free NAS or servers that you're using, especially computers, the pure sine wave power signals, and it wasn't happening. So a lot of weird stuff was happening. But anyways, we're back to talk about this. So this solves the problems that I've been having. And let me show you what's in the box. Actually, this is the Ridgid power, not power station. This is the Ridgid box that I was using previously before I got the truck, or the Honda Ridgeline truck. I was using these boxes, but they don't really fit in. If you see my other Paragon truck bed cover review, you know I stopped using these because the base ground unit, or the one with the wheels on it, doesn't fit in that truck bed anymore with the truck bed cover. So I switched over to using, what do you call it, the DeWalt Tough system. Yes, 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 Milwaukee guys. It's not all about team red. But anyways, this is what's in the box. This is very convenient. Why is this convenient? Because everything I need fits in here, okay? I already spoiled it for you. But anyways, I can take this, go somewhere, go into a kid's soccer game, whatever it is. Anyways, so what's in here? What's in here is a 2000 watt continuous pure sine wave inverter. Here, let me show you. 4 batteries. It can actually take a lot more. But anyways, why did I build this? We already talked about that, but let's talk about what it actually is. This is a Milwaukee 5-volt battery, Milwaukee 5-volt battery, a DeWalt 5-volt battery, DeWalt 4-volt battery. A bunch of 4-volts and 5-volts mixed around. Anyways, the point of this is a pure sine wave inverter, 2000 watts continuous, okay? This one has an input voltage of 36 volts. We'll talk about that a little bit. And I actually mounted these, what do you call those things? I don't know, the things that take the battery connectors on here to make the whole system very easily convertible and movable, okay? So this has been very convenient for me, but I will talk to you a little bit more about this. So why did I go with the 36 volt input system? The reason I did that is because there are a lot of power tools batteries. Most of the power tool batteries that people have, we already talked about a lot of the stuff in other video about MacBook chargers, but most power tool batteries are roughly around 18 to 24 volts, okay? Cobalt's mostly 24, but for instance, Makita batteries are 18 volts. These Milwaukee M18s are 18 volts. These DeWalt 20 volt maxes are pretty much 18 volts. What else is there? Anyways, Ridgid, Ryobi, whatever, all the other brands out there, they're mostly around 18 volts, okay? Some exceptions, FlexVolt and Metabo HPT, multi-volt or whatever they call that. All that stuff is not 36 or higher voltage. But anyways, most of these guys are 18 volts. Most of you guys watching have 18 volt batteries. So a lot of the power tool companies, for instance, things like Makita, have X2 systems that take 36, that use 36 volts. DeWalt can do that on, for instance, like their lawnmower, have a 40 volt lawnmower, which is on a 20 volt platform, takes 2 20 volt batteries. Milwaukee's been very sticking to their 18 volt system, and that's probably good for them. But anyways, the reason I went with the 36 volt input one is because most of you guys know power or watts equal voltage times current, okay? So if you can put a higher voltage into the unit, it will draw less amps. Yes, you don't need to worry about the amps drawn from these power tool batteries because power tool batteries put out a lot of current very fast. They're designed to do so. But if I can put in a higher voltage, I can decrease the amps drawn from the unit. The batteries stay cooler and by that factor, batteries last longer in terms of lifespan and battery life in terms of how long I can run it. So if you were to run 18-volt batteries into an inverter, if you were to run a 5 amp hour battery into an 18-volt inverter, it would not last you as long as a 5 amp hour 36-volt battery into an inverter, okay? All right, you see where I'm going with this? V times I equals watts. Voltage times current equals watts. That's pretty much how power works. Base principle of power, not exactly how it works. So anyways, that's why we went with the 36-volt inverter, input inverter. 2,000 watts continuous, I think it says 3,000 watts peak, but this is a pure sine wave inverter. I'll leave a link to this inverter in the description below where I got it, and you can pick one up too if you want. Anyways, like I said, this is very convenient because I can just pick up the whole box and go. But let's show you how it works. So here, I put 2 Milwaukee battery power mounts. What does that do? That means I can take this Milwaukee battery, put it there, put this Milwaukee M18 battery, and put that there, okay? Let's turn it on. Bam! You're probably not sure if it's gonna come out very well. See if I can drop a picture or whatever in there. But look, power light's on. It works. Actually, let me get some to show you that it actually works. This is just a random Dell monitor. Don't pay too much attention to it. But Dell monitor, sensitive electronics, needs pure sine wave inverter. Look at that, it powers on. I should have thought of connecting something to it, right? I'll be right back. And we're back. All right, connect the laptop to it. But to show you that it's being powered by this, pull this out. There it goes, it went out. Let me plug it back in. All right, anyways, no trickery or anything going on here. 2 18-volt batteries, 5 amp hour batteries, powers this. And if I really wanted longer runtime, I would take the DeWalt batteries, put them in here. Okay, if you're gonna go along this and make something like this, and let me throw up a quick disclaimer. Bam! Anyways, before we get into talking about how this works or how this made, let me talk to you a little bit more about why there's two, what's going on here. So these two are in series. These two are in series, but these packs are in parallel, meaning this is pretty much one battery unit. This is one battery unit. You take the positive of, it's not exactly this one, but the positive of this one connected to negative this one, the positive of this goes to that, negative this goes to that. So that is one battery unit. So theoretically, if something like this were to, let's say one of the batteries was losing power or they weren't charged evenly or whatever, I could take one out and the unit is still working depending on how many amps you're drawing or how much power you're drawing. But anyways, you could swap out batteries on the fly. There's a few other features I built into this, but we're going to talk about that in a little bit later. But I will talk to you about some of the principles you need to know before you do this. So almost any inverter takes, or any pure sine wave type inverter, even a modified sine wave type inverter, takes pretty much DC power and transmits to AC power. Direct current to alternating current, okay? Direct current is mainly plus minus, there's no ground. Alternating current has pretty much a hot, neutral, and a ground, okay? But what pretty much happens when it spins at the power station or whatever is happening, the sine wave or the thing's flipping is happening at 60 hertz, okay? That's what's happening. A lot of the sensitive electronics take 60 hertz. We talked a little bit about that, but we're gonna talk a little bit more in detail what's happening here, okay? So like I already mentioned, this is one pack, this is one pack. They're being combined at this terminal block, using a car audio amp terminal block. But anyways, it's not that important, but this terminal block, okay? You guys are saying, hey, Makita, you left me, or left out the Makita guys. Anyways, so this is pretty much two of the Makita units, battery slide-on units, power stations, or power sources or whatever. Pretty much just glued them together with the cord coming out of it. But what you really need to do here, pay very good attention to this. This is the fuse holder. There's a fuse in here, okay? And this is a blocking diode. What is a blocking diode? Pretty long story short, all the jibber jabber aside, it pretty much allows power to flow in one direction. So I have power flowing in this direction. So why is that important? Because if I have these two batteries here as one unit and these two batteries in one unit and I combine them to parallel, meaning I put the hots together or the pluses together here, the higher voltage batteries will want to charge the lower voltage batteries. Why is that? You're gonna say, okay, that's fine, I'm gonna try evening out my batteries, but that is not good because these batteries, all these power tool batteries with the 18650 cells or lithium ion cells or whatever they have in there, need to be balanced charged, okay? Not all cells, even if they're made the same factory, same time, they do not all have the same charging characteristics. Each cell is very different, just like you are very different than me. Even though we're all humans, okay? Most of us are humans. Anyways, point is, you do not want the cells backfeeding power or the battery packs backfeeding power to other battery packs. So you need to get this, okay? This is a blocking diode. I'll leave a link for the one that I got at least in the description below. And if you want to do any of this, remember the disclaimer. This is mainly for informational purposes, but if you want to do it, I will not be held liable for any damage you cause to yourself or any of the other stuff that you do. So fuse, diode. That way I have diodes on, see there's a diode here. There's more diodes back here, you probably can't see them, but the diodes are all back here. I tape them up or shrink wrap them and electric tape them so that they don't short other stuff out. Anyways, the point is that this battery is isolated from this battery in terms of battery feeding back. This battery is isolated from this battery in terms of power and battery stuff feeding back. The reason I created more of these is because, for instance, I can use Makita battery packs to, for instance, like if I was going somewhere and I was on a job site where I was only bringing the Makita tools or whatever, I would just bring the Makita packs, right? But most of the time I'm going to a job site, I'm always carrying at least either Milwaukee or the DeWalt, depending on what's happening there. For instance, Milwaukee miter saw, use that a lot, that's pretty good. The 10-inch miter saw, that's great, fuel miter saw. But what's even better is the Makita 36 volt miter saw. That thing is a beast, okay? That's probably the best cordless miter saw out there if you're going to do some precision stuff, okay? So I always take that with me when I'm doing like trim work or crown molding. That's pretty much all trim work. But flooring and stuff, that's very good. Very accurate, very strong, very precise. If you're doing a lot of timber framing or building out or rough framing or even 2x4s or 2x6s, that's great saw. So in that case, I'll take the Makita packs. And then I do not need, most of the time I don't need a power station. But every once in a while, let's say for instance, if I'm going to a soccer game or camping, glamping, whatever it is, who knows, depending on what battery packs I have, I'll just take that. Anyways, I could do that, or I could make the entire system last longer by just adding more battery packs to it, all right? Looks like the power went out. Hold on. Is it back? Ah, there it goes. Okay, anyways. Makita. So if I take this Makita pack, take this Makita pack, these two batteries are in series. Now I have this. Actually, let's talk a little about this connector. This is an XT60 connector. The RC world uses these a lot. Why does the RC world use these? Because they're pretty much quick, easy connects. They use silicone wires, mostly in the RC world, which take high temperature. This is the 12 gauge wire, but it's very flexible, high temp. Anyways, if I wanted to make this entire thing last longer, I could go like this. I could plug this into the unit. Now this battery pack is isolated from these battery packs, which are isolated from these battery packs. They're all separate. They're not feeding back into each other. Now, this power station could pretty much last, I don't know, at least 30% more. Rough math. Not too important. So anyways, this is a good unit. And you can use it for anything that requires sensitive electronics. I wouldn't mainly use this for any, if I was if I was going to do power tool stuff, or like if I had a table saw that needed electricity or whatever, I wouldn't use this unit, okay? This unit is for sensitive electronics. Sensitive electronics. It does not have a high of a peak as the DeWalt PowerStation. The DeWalt PowerStation is probably the best thing you could do for corded tools that you need to use on a job site that doesn't have any power. It has a high peak and has a relatively high continuous load. 1800 watts is pretty good for most power tools, but it can start up most miter saws or whatever you're going to be using, and it'll be fine. I will not use this for that kind of stuff. I will use this for sensitive electronics, for your computer, your laptop, whatever it is that you're going to be doing. This is fine. This is good. You can pretty much take this vacuum, which is I think it's a 12 or 1400 watt vacuum. It has a soft start, so you can technically run that on here and vacuum the whole house, which I did. But that is not important. That's not the whole reason for that. If that's what you need to do because you're in the cleaning business or whatever, you could do that. I wouldn't do it, but anyways, it's fine. One more feature before I show you all a bunch of pictures and stuff on what's going on here. So you can take this battery pack off. There you go. Take the Makita batteries out of here. It's not important anymore. Made one of these. What is this? This is pretty much the 3D printed connectors for Makita, or not for Makita, for Milwaukee. Why did I make this one for the Milwaukee? Primarily because Milwaukee is making pretty big battery packs. Yeah, DeWalt makes them too, but I have some 12 volts, but I don't have them with me right now. But this is a 9.0 pack. Bam. This is a 9.0 pack. Bam. All right, so now I have two 9 amp hour batteries, okay? But this is pretty much acting like one battery because remember, they're in series. So one 9 amp hour battery pack is rated for, according to Milwaukee, is 162 watt hours. How do they get that? They take the voltage times the amp hours, okay? So 18 times 9 should be 162, I think. So this is pretty much 162 watt hours. 162 watt hours. But if you put them in series like you did here, you got to take 36 times 9. What is that? 324. How did they get that? You pretty much take the 192 watt hours, combine them together, you have that. The watt hours is pretty much how much quote unquote energy is stored in the pack. All right, so you take the voltage and the current. So if I take this and I plug it into this neutrik connector here, all right, now I have even more battery packs. So, and this could last almost the whole day. I could vacuum the whole house with this. Actually, I could vacuum the whole house with just these four, but anyways, different story. If I needed to go somewhere and I was camping, whenever I need to go for days, hours, whatever, weeks, who knows, you could take all the batteries you have, but you could just make a bunch of these, just put them all around and make the pure sine wave inverter and it would be fine. So, I mean, this works for me. You could do whatever you need to do for yourself, as many battery packs or platform or whatever you need to do. But the important thing is to make sure that when you build these, like I did here, I left this one unprofessionally built so I could show you these parts. Make sure you put a fuse and a diode, okay, blocking diode. That's rated for the current and the voltage that you need or that you're going to be building, okay? So that way the packs are not feeding or damaging the other packs. On this one, you don't see this here, primarily because I built the fuse and the diode in here. That way I can keep this looking pretty sleek, all right? So that's what's happening. Like I said, this works for me. It may or may not work for you, or you may not even need that. One thing that I would do, I don't know if you can see in the thing here, there's a ground wire hanging out there. If I was gonna go somewhere and use this thing long term for a lot of stuff, I'd probably connect the ground to a real ground or something like that to safety. Hey, safety is our #1 priority. But anyways, you should do that. So, one more thing about this inverter, which is similar to almost all inverters. Let's say I power this off, right? Take this out. If you take all the batteries out of an inverter, there is still, and even a whole day's gone by. Let's say a whole day's gone by. and you think it's still safe, you'd be wrong. There's capacitors and stuff in here, and inductors and transformers and a bunch of stuff. And what those things do, they usually hold a little bit of power. So even if a whole day or two went by, there's still energy stored in this unit. So if you're going to do something like this or build something like this, after you're done and you take all the batteries out, what I would do is turn it on real quick. Watch, nothing plugged in here. What? No shenanigans going on here. But I will turn it on real quick just to clear out that power. Look at that. Beep. It'll stop eventually. Come on. There's a lot of power in there. Well, we did have a lot of power plugged in. Anyways, it'll stop. All those capacitors and transformers and stuff have to, there it goes, depleted. Now it's more safe. Quick lesson for most of you guys that don't know about capacitors. So, like I said, this is convenient. You can get, I'm sorry guys, the audio in this part got a little bit messed up, so I'm just going to talk over it. But the point I was making here is that I can fit 4 batteries in here, 4 5-volt batteries. That's 2 DeWalt batteries and 2 Milwaukee batteries. They fit nicely in the case, so everything stays compact. I tried to fit 4 9-volt batteries, but you can't fit 4 9-volt batteries. You can fit 3 9-volt batteries. There's just not enough room for the 4th. I was unable to fit any 12-volt batteries in there. That's Milwaukee 12-volt or DeWalt 12-volt batteries. They're just too big. The case just isn't big enough. You can fit 4 Makita 5-volt batteries in there, and everything stays compact. So it's a good, easy, compact system. You can carry everything inside the box. Fits well, and you can just use it wherever you need to go. Works on almost any power tool 18-volt battery platform that you could use or that you may have. You could use Ryobi batteries, PorterCable batteries, Craftsman 20-volt batteries, Bosch 18-volt batteries. I mean, any 18-volt battery combination that you can come up with that will output 36 volts in this system, or you could just use any other inverter and match the voltage. But anyways, this works for me. The power station is also great. Works for me too, but I would mainly use that on things like, man, this thing's keeps sagging. But I mainly use that on things like power tools or hydro devices that don't need pure sine wave. Pure sine wave, go with the pure sine wave inverter. I'll leave a link for almost everything that I use in the description below if you want to build it. But like I said, disclaimer, don't injure yourself, don't hurt yourself. If you do, don't blame me. Anything that happens will not be my fault for stuff that you did. So, hope this video has been helpful to you guys, and if you need some more information, just leave some questions, comments, whatever in the description below, and then we'll see you guys next time.